say anything.
Okay, so try again. Release yourself.
Oh, release you mean?
Yeah, fine. Release me. Just say it. Just say it.
Don't you swear at me, you little Don't you ever raise your voice at me. I am your mother.
Welcome to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Eric and Rob.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. It's been about a week since we've done a show. Been a lot going on, but here we are, here to talk about our first horror movie in October, Hereditary, here with the crew. I'm your host, DaReaL Big E, co-host, Rob the Ambassador. How's it going, man? How's your weekend? I know we talked about it a little before you came on here, the fantasy team, but what's going on?
Well, I got two fantasy teams. I got one in Books League. Lost my second one in a row, two book. I lost to him this week. I lost to another opponent last week, but I've lost two in a row. In my league, I won pretty big. And so I'm 3-2 in Books League, 3-1 in my league. The rest of the weekend, Iowa Hawkeyes had a huge win against Penn State. They're now number 2 in the country. Iowa alum, like myself, Big E Langston, was at the game, at the pregame, and then later flew to Vegas to do the hype videos for the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury fight, which was an epic fight. So I got to see that as well. Yeah, man, it was a great weekend.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Big E. Shout out to Big E, getting all over the place, and I like seeing it. You know, we got a black champion who's not just being, you know, like a placeholder. He's out there and he's promoting. WWE has him all over the place. It's a debate for another day, but it's like, why couldn't you just do this with other wrestlers that were champion, and you refuse to let them do stuff like this, and you wonder why they were bitter. But anyway, it's good to see. And we're joined by special guest, host of the Countdown Podcast, MJ Book, aka the biggest Boston Red Sox fan. What's going on?
Well, we just lost the lead, so now it's all even, 5-5. We were up 5-3, so I'm a little pissed off now. It's the top of the 8th, so that didn't help.
What you tell me yesterday?
I know, but that doesn't make this any better. We had the lead, but at least I got to beat Rob. That makes me feel good. He knows what I mean by that. It is a rivalry. He is the Yankees. I am the Red Sox. I could go winless, but as long as I beat him, I'm perfectly fine.
Well, I mean,
We're going to meet again later in the season.
Oh, you're going to get even. Trust me. I know. But I can still enjoy this one. Too. I know. I didn't say a word to him. I left him alone. Trust me. I wanted to just dig the knife in, but I decided not to. And I'm in a close game in the other league trying to beat somebody who has not lost yet. So I'm still in the lead, but barely.
Okay. All right. Well, we are here to actually talk about Hereditary from 2018, starring Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne. I remember when the movie came out, it didn't have a lot of promotion. It kind of flew under the radar, and I remember my wife and I, she was just my girlfriend at the time. We just always watched horror movies. There was a new horror movie out on the Red Box. We just went and got it, rented it. This was one of those. Heard good things about it, right? Yeah, we walked away from it pleasantly surprised. FYI, if you're watching and listening to the show, this is a spoiler review. Spoiler of spoiler reviews, because there's absolutely no way to talk about this movie after a certain part happens. And you just cannot not spoil it. So, and I think y'all will agree, like, you can't. This is a movie that it'd be pretty hard to watch after you were spoiled going into it, because you kind of know what's gonna happen, and there's a domino effect after said event happens. So I'm really encouraging you. Leave now, go watch it, and come back. All right, that's the only warning. So, um, I know, Book, this is your first time watching, so
Mhm.
be interested to get your thoughts on this. I know, Rob, you've seen it before. Rob, did you see this at the theater, or did you catch it on Blu-ray?
No, I caught it on Blu-ray. I had read about it. I'd read a pretty good article about it in USA Today, and I was really fascinated about the movie, but just never made it to the theater to see it. But as soon as the Blu-ray came out, I just went ahead and purchased it. I mean, I was that hyped to see it, and I was not disappointed.
Right on. Right on. Well, without further ado, we're gonna get right into this review and sit back, because this one you really got to focus. I'm glad I watched this movie again with my headphones on, because I wanted to hear the dialogue, because a lot of stuff happened in this movie, and it's said that you'll miss, and it does. It can hurt your experience. I'll say that. So the movie actually opens up with an obituary. And instead of trying to write all that down, I just took a screenshot. So Ellen Taper-Lay, 78, passes away after a prolonged illness at her daughter Annie's house on April 3rd, 2018. Beloved wife of late Martin Lay, devoted mother, and is, like a regular obituary would read. And then it just talks about the location of the funeral. So right there, it's telling you how this movie's starting, and then we cut to like these miniatures. This is what our lead character is her job, to make these miniatures. And I like how they did this, because it kind of cut to one of the houses, into the bedroom, Peter's bedroom, and then the movie starts. Kind of a unique way to set that up, and then we kind of go to the funeral from there, and we meet. That's where we meet. We met Peter. We met Stephen, the father, Charlie, the daughter, who was sleeping in the treehouse. Well, that treehouse is gonna come up again. Um, and then we get to the funeral. Now, I know all three of us have been to funerals before and heard some eulogies. This didn't sound like eulogy about somebody that cared about losing their mother. She was pretty, I mean, emotionless. I guess is the word I would use. It didn't feel like she even gave a damn that her mom's laying there in a box. That's what it sounded like. And even in her eulogy, she did mention that their relationship was kind of rocky. So, just a little strange. A little strange. I found it strange. But we got to Charlie eating chocolate. Charlie has an obsession with chocolate. She has three obsessions, really: chocolate, making her own toys, and her clicking, her little ticks she does. Um, and mom and dad have to always check. Hey, there's no peanuts in there, right? So it lets us know, sets something up for later. She has peanut allergy right here. But the thing that stands out from this scene is the lady that walks up to the casket and rubs something on Annie's mother's lips. I don't know if y'all caught that, but that right there kind of set it off like, okay, what is this? What's up with that? And then the creepy guy standing in the corner smiling like the fucking Joker. Like, what is going on?
The way she was delivering the eulogy, you could tell there was a kind of a disconnect between her and her mother. So I was just waiting to see how that would play out and work its way into the rest of the movie.
I of course had heard about this movie a lot from several people, two of you especially. So I was just kind of getting relaxed into the movie, just kind of soaking it in, just kind of getting into that hereditary world and seeing what's going on. And the funeral, yeah, the eulogy definitely sounds like the two didn't get along. So yeah, you get the gist of that immediately. You get the gist that the daughter, something is wrong there. You're kind of getting the gist of what's going on a little bit.
Right, right, and daughter Charlie, played by Millie Shapiro. Um, that I looked up. There was like interviews she did. That's actually not how she looks. Because I was like, man, where did they find her at?
No, no,
But
she doesn't look like that.
she doesn't look like that. She definitely doesn't talk like that. She talks normal. It's just a fantastic acting job. I mean, and they did add some prosthetics and makeup to make her look the way she does. So just want to put that out because I was curious. I'm like, how the hell did y'all find her? And then what the hell do you put out for a casting call? Uh,
I,
strange
I,
young girl, strange
I,
looking young
ac-
girl.
I actually know how they found her. I looked it up, and they actually say it in the behind the scenes. The school that they use, that's a legitimate school. She went to that. She goes to that school.
Oh, okay.
So the guy who plays Peter, he already knew her, and that's where they found her. They found her in that school.
Ah, okay. All right. All right. Yeah, yeah. Shout out some fun facts whenever you get a chance. All right. So kind of the normal thing after a funeral, you know you mourning a loss. You want to go through the person's belongings, and that's what Annie does. And she finds a letter. Yeah, I shouted that too. It's my darling, beautiful Annie. Forgive me for all the things I could not tell you. Please don't hate me and try not to despair your losses. You will see in the end that they were worth it. Our sacrifice will pale uh, next to the rewards. Love, mommy. That right there is not something you leave behind if you know you're about to check out. Our sacrifice? What sacrifice? What does that mean? And then, I mean, you can read this one way or the other in the beginning because still early on in the film. I think we all have stood in the dark and thought we saw something, apparition. But in this case, I think there really was her mother standing in the corner, if you caught it. Uh, kind of one of those, especially as a kid, you walking around your house in the dark, you think you see something there, you turn the light on, it's not there, or it's a vacuum or something like that, playing with your mind, playing tricks on you, so to speak. All right. So we cut to the high school where we get to kind of see Peter and Charlie in their element. Charlie's a stoner nerd, that guy in school. And Charlie is kind of the loner, weird kid in class, if you want to just go there. And I want to ask you two, I got this. She's trying to put together this toy. She makes all her own toys. Teacher comes by, asks her about a quiz. She kind of goes into this zone, and all of a sudden a bird flies into the window. Coincidence, or did she make that bird do that?
I don't think she knowingly makes the bird do that. I mean, I don't think she makes it happen. I think it happens for other reasons, but I don't think she made it happen. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think she made it happen either. I think it's just the environment maybe around her, definitely, but not her.
Okay, it just seemed like it because she went from the bird. She didn't react. She's the only one that didn't react. She's staring, and then she's staring at the scissors. Oh, I need a head for this toy. Boom, bird. And I don't know if it'd be that easy to cut a head off a bird. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not an expert in cutting heads off animals, but
I didn't even think about that.
it just seemed a little easy.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that right where it is.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
And then we keep hearing her do the tick, which will continue to come up later. The father, Stephen, played by Gabriel Byrne, gets a call from the cemetery about the grave being desecrated. That Annie's mother was dug up, but he doesn't tell Annie because who? How do you tell somebody? Somebody dug up your mama. It just yeah. I would do the same thing probably. And then Annie throughout the film, she keeps saying that she's going to go see a movie, but she's actually going to these group therapy sessions to kind of deal with loss, which is, I get it. Something like this is hard to talk about. Maybe even with a loved one, you kind of may be tough to tell them you're going to go these type of sessions and talk to strangers about your loss and even just going period and stuff. But she gets in here, and there's a lot that she says that you really got to pay attention to. The biggest thing was when she talked about her brother. She starts, she speaks to the group, says her name and all that. She lost her mother. Talks about her brother and how he hung himself because their mother, was trying to put people inside of him.
My older brother had schizophrenia, and when he was 16, he hanged himself in my mother's bedroom, and of course his suicide note blamed her, accusing her of putting people inside him. So
I missed that the first time I saw this movie because I was confused where the brother came in later. So now I'm watching it again this time. I caught it, and like I said, if you're not paying attention to some of the dialogue, you will miss these things, and they do play an important role. And I like how this movie is kind of like putting these pieces out here, and you're gonna have to put them together later. So I'm appreciating that. It's different, kind of a different take on horror, and I'll get to why I chose this movie here in a little bit. But here we are at the scene I was talking about when we first came on here. The big spoiler right here. Oh boy. So Peter's going to one of his, high school. Everybody has parties. And
Bring your dick.
Says,
the message: bring your dick.
Yeah. Well, mom says you're gonna bring your sister and don't drink. And it's a pretty tame for a high school party. I just want to say. I mean, what high school party did you go to where they baking cakes and ain't no weed in it? Like, fuck the peanuts. There's weed in these damn cakes.
Well, I didn't go to houses like that until I went to Valley. Most of the houses were not kind of like that, and you weren't usually in a house. We usually were in a park or something.
Well, I mean, it looked like some nice parents were out of town. They're throwing a party. Like, that stuff happens, right? And they give the obligatory close up of the girl chopping up the peanuts into, going into the cake. And of course, Charlie wants a piece of cake. They give her a piece of cake. I do appreciate they didn't treat her like shit. Because I thought that's where they were going to go with this. The introverted girl going to the high school party, going to get bullied. And that's where I thought this was going, but it doesn't.
I think they probably are used to her. I think that was what I was kind of getting a gist, that they've probably seen her, because one of the girls mentions she drew me. So I was like, okay, they probably are used to seeing that kid around.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of the gist I got.
But, I mean, we all went to high school. Kids are shit. Kids are assholes. I mean, it doesn't matter if we see you or not, Oh, there's that retarded kid. I mean, how many times we hear that in school? I mean, we don't think it affects that person, but it does. I'm just glad we didn't see that here. I was also glad that once she realized that there was peanuts in the cake and she went to find Peter, that he didn't treat her like shit either. He was kind of like, you all right? You good? And I can't breathe. My throat's closing up. And he grabs her. That's what a big brother's supposed to do, all right? Grab your sister and let's go to the hospital. So here we go. There's really no other way to say that. I was thinking about this the whole time. Like, how do I word this without it sounding so terrible? But I have to remind myself, I didn't put it in the movie. The director did. They did this. Peter's racing to the hospital. Charlie's in the back seat, clutching for air. Rolls down the window, sticks their head out the window. There's an animal in the road that Peter swerves to get out of the way. And in doing so, There's a light post, and Charlie gets decapitated. And I mean, you hear the thud, and they show it. It's quick, but they do. And I remember watching this with my wife, and both our jaws were just on the floor because normally in these type of movies, they pull you back in, they pull the person back in somehow. They just barely miss, all that stuff. It never actually happens. So it actually happened, and we were just in shock, simultaneously in shock. And I appreciate the movie for staying quiet and letting people kind of process what was happening because, like I said, in the movies, just normally does not happen. At least in my experience, it doesn't happen. Normally, they cut away. The person somehow magically gets back in the car, or they escape death. Nope. And if that wasn't enough for you, that wasn't enough. The director said, "Oh, I got one more before I go." We get a close-up of the head on the side of the road covered in bugs. I mean, really? You really had to go there? Man, Rob, I know you like horror. This is like body horror we're getting here. I didn't. Your reaction, man, to all that, just that whole scene.
Well, the whole scene, I mean, it was incredibly well done in the fact that you're already emotionally involved because you can see that Charlie is in peril because of her allergic reaction to the nuts. So my concern as a viewer, as I'm watching, saying, "Oh man, is he going to be able to get her to the hospital in time?" That's my concern. The whole episode involving the deer and swerving and hitting the pole and then her decapitation, I didn't even see that coming. And I mean, that's great filmmaking because in so many horror movies, that's one of the great things about Hereditary. It's not your typical horror film. You almost can, if two teenagers are having sex, they're going to get stabbed by the killer, right? I mean, there's certain cliches in horror movies, but those just didn't apply here. And Ari Aster, the director, was just masterful in the way he set this scene up. I mean, it's truly a shocking moment because if you've seen this movie and you're telling me you saw that coming, I'm calling you a liar. No way you saw that coming. No way you saw that coming. Yeah.
Call me a liar.
Oh, you are lying. Don't.
There's no way.
You're a liar. You're lying.
Here's the thing. When the kid stuck her head out the window, at that moment, I'm like, okay, something's about to happen. But I'm trying to figure out what could it possibly be. And then I see the dead carcass in the road. He swerves. I'm like, okay. And just about a second before it happened, I said, okay, and I got it. So it's not like I got it like hours ahead in advance, but the pieces started to fit. I'm like, okay, kid's about to die. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, it's a dirt road. There's very few things that could possibly happen. I doubt it was going to be another vehicle. So I'm like, okay, somehow this kid's about to die and off with your head. And I was like, okay, so that's how it happened. But kid stuck the head out the window. I'm like, okay, something's got to be happening here. Something is going to happen. So if that makes me a liar, that I'm saying something's about to happen and I was thinking something very bad, then call me a liar. But it's not like I thought that it was going to be exactly that, but I knew something was about to go down and very badly. That's just what I thought at that moment.
Not saying that, saying the decapitation, the way they shot it, and then seeing the head laying on the side of the road covered in ants. I mean, that's.
Well, I was kind of hoping we'd see the head. At the absolute least, you show the head.
Well,
I'm sorry, you got to show the head. It's a horror movie. You got to show the head. You got to do it.
See, her sticking her head out the window, I mean, obviously she's trying to get air. So that wasn't really a clue that anything was going to happen. Now, did I think they were going to make it to the hospital and she would be safe? No, but I didn't know exactly what would happen. I knew it wasn't going to have a happy ending, whatever it was, but just from out of nowhere, the pole and the decapitation, just complete shock.
Yeah, I think I was thinking my first time through that she was just gonna die in the back seat. I didn't see her head getting chopped off, and I like you said, the director really plays your emotions. He kept it quiet. He has Peter in shock, and he just drives home. I don't know what the hell I would do in that situation either. But he just drove home, put the car in the driveway, and went to bed. Probably didn't sleep a wink. Who could? And Tony Collette, this is what I mean by highway robbery. She wasn't even nominated for an Oscar. I don't know about y'all. I felt the pain coming off the screen because of her the moans and the groans and the scream. I mean, we've all heard this in real life when somebody dies, but to be able to translate that in a film and really channel that, it made me believe saying things like I just want to die. I mean, we've all heard that kind of stuff from somebody goes, but to her delivery, I mean, her acting was phenomenal here, and I just I was just floored by her acting. I mean, she truly should have got an Oscar for this. She was fantastic in this movie, and not just in this scene, but there's other scenes that she just steals with her ability, and I just man, if we could retroactively go back and give her one, I would say do it. She killed this thing. And I mean, as a father, it's just tough. I think that's what makes it hit that much harder. If it was an adult, nigga, the head lopped off, I don't think it bothers people as much. She was only 13 and she died. Usually they don't kill kids in movies, horror movies. Well, they do it here, and they even go to the funeral and everything, and it's just man, it's tough. It is. It is really tough. And I know everybody's thinking, man, why the hell did you put this so sad ass depressing movie? We get about to get into it because that's the end of Act One. Because Act Two and Three, shit gets crazy. It really does. Especially because we're about to meet Joan. And Joan, I'm sorry, as soon as she walked up to Tony Collette's car, I knew this one was up to no good.
Thank you.
Nah,
Thank you. That's what I
don't
thought.
trust her.
That was
Like,
that was just too out of the
you
blue.
know too much. You know too much, and you're telling me stuff. Why do you know so much about my mother? Like right off the bat, and why do you think I want to connect with you?
Yeah,
Red
it was
flag.
too obvious.
It
was
red
way
flag.
too obvious.
But and then they go to Joan's house, and we find out why her and Peter, her son, are so distant. And I don't care who you are. If your mama tried to kill you, y'all wouldn't be cool neither. Sleepwalking my ass. You about to light me on fire? Hey, why you and your son don't talk? Well, I did try to kill him once. What? And y'all still live in the same house? Shit. No. We ain't cool. I couldn't do it. There's no way. There's no way. And Annie, we see Annie start going down, I mean, this would happen to anybody that had, you lost your mom, you lost your dog. Now, I did appreciate the dynamic here too. Look at how she reacted to losing her mother and how she reacted to losing her daughter. Complete opposite sides of the spectrum. And that can happen with a regular person. You can lose somebody you were even close to and not really react that way. And it can be somebody else and you just can't handle it. You just lose your shit. That's why I actually picked this movie because it's a different type of horror. It's horror that we as people kind of fear in life is death. And then maybe not your own, but you fear losing people close to you. And that's something we all have. Something we all have to deal with. You don't have to be religious or anything like that, but you don't want to go to anybody's funeral either. And that's why I appreciate this movie, because it has those layers, and it's a real horror, and it connects. It connected with me anyway, in that way, and that's why. That's one of the reasons why I chose this movie. And there are some real horror movie aspects to this as well as we get towards the end. So, I was wondering why I chose this. We'll have to get into it, because there is a shift in the feel of this film. Okay, so we get back to Joan. Just want to keep talking about Joan here, because she's really obsessed with Annie. I mean, like, how can you not feel like something's going on? Like, how this person, you never knew this person from a can of paint. All of a sudden, they don't want to leave you alone. They invite you to the house. Oh, let's do a seance real quick.
Very touchy. Very
Yeah,
touchy.
very touchy. Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
you need to stop touching me.
That, and he's just coming on real strong, and oh, I had a breakthrough. You need to come over. We gotta do this thing. Okay, all right. And she does the seance, and then she goes home and tries to do a seance with Peter and Steven. I really appreciate Gabriel Byrne in this movie, because he's the only one. He ain't having none of the shit either. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with all of y'all? First of all, talking to his wife, like, you're crazy, because all the shit that's going on, and you're acting like it's okay. Our son is freaked out. You're freaking him out. That spat they had at the dinner table, like, whoa, that stuff you think, you don't say, and they said it all. That's another thing about this movie. Whatever people are normally thinking, this movie is going to say it, and they're going to do it, and it really, really can strike some nerves. Especially that scene at the dinner table, that's going to strike some nerves with some people. I'm sure there's a lot of kids that want to say some shit to their parents, and they're not going to. And there's a lot of parents that want to say some shit to their kids. They wouldn't do that. But it was, I was like, wow. Because she went the fuck off on that boy.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
That scene was kind of a boil over of the whole incident involving Charlie's death. You know, you spoke about Peter, played by Alex Wolff, who also was a tremendous actor in this film. And he just walks into the house, goes to bed. Toni Collette finds the body the next day. And those two really kind of avoid each other. But then finally at the table, they're forced to confront each other. And so all of these emotions just boil over, and it explodes at that table.
Well, Peter Wolf is another one of those, he's a method actor. Again, I'm watching the extras on the Blu-ray. They said that on the set, they just called him Peter. And when they were done filming, he introduced himself by his real name. But he was in character the whole time. So that's he's one of the method actors.
Oh, yeah, he was fantastic in this as well. I think he should have got a supporting actor. Seriously. I mean, how can you not watch this and be just dumbfounded by the acting in this movie? Everybody does fantastic. So they do the seance at the house, Annie, Steven, and Peter. And they bring back Charlie, or so they think anyway. And they get the whole the glass to move, and then the candle shooting the fire up, all that good stuff. But what the chain of events that Annie has set off now is you've now communicated with the other side. So now this can't be turned off. And that's why we're going to get into Act 3. And now Peter is affected by all the shit that's happening, because he's starting to lose his shit. The house is starting to smell bad. Annie and Peter, they're both seeing stuff. And like I said, Dad's the only one that It's like I don't see none of. I smell the shit that's in the attic, but I don't see no ghosts. I don't know what's going on. The cemetery sending him photos of the grave dug up. He's just trying to piece all this shit together and take care of his son. And then we get Annie in a panic. She's trying to find Joan. She can't find Joan. She's trying to go through her mother's stuff again. And we finally get to the real meat and potatoes of what's going on, right? She finds this book, this photo album, and she finds a book of Payman, King Payman, God of Mischief. I thought that was Loki.
Loki?
It said Payman,
It's
God of Mischief.
mythology. He's the god of
thought
mischief.
God of Mischief was
He's
Loki.
the god of mischief.
Oh,
Yeah, but okay, here's Payman. And it said in the book that he needs a vulnerable male host, which is why Charlotte, aka Charlie, was supposed to be a boy. Something they talked about earlier in the film, that her grandma wanted her to be a boy. But hey, don't worry about it. We still got Peter's sorry ass laying around. We just gotta break him down a little bit. And then we discover what the smell is in the attic is Annie's headless mother's body just rotting away up there. That's just disgusting. I just can't even imagine what that smells like. And then Peter is in school hearing Charlie's text. And we get that part where his hand goes up and it's all crooked and he starts banging his head on the desk and freaking everybody out. I mean, that's the stuff like that is creepy as hell. And he did a fantastic job with his facials and I don't know how many times you can do that take, before you're concussed, but I'm sure there was a pillow there for him. But pretty much Charlie is the one taking over him, is what I can digest from this. And he's trying to convince Steve of what's happening, how it's all connected with Joan, her mom, and whatever she summoned when they did the first seance. And it's a simple fix, Steven. Just throw this notebook into this fire over here, and all this will go away. I tried to do it, but I caught on fire doing it. So it's all over me. I'm poisoned. I can't do it. So I need you, as my husband, to just throw this notebook into the fire. He's like, look, you my wife and all, but I'm tired of your shit. I'm not doing this no more. I'm about to call the police on your ass. And she grabs the notebook, throws it in the fire, and burned her husband up, barbecued his ass, standing right up there like, Steve didn't do nothing. He just, this whole time, he been trying to get everybody back together, and he ended up burnt up on the floor. I said, this is bullshit. So I guess home from school after his little episode, he wakes up from his nap, finds his barbecue dad on the floor. And at this point, Annie is fully possessed by some kind of demon. You can see her in the background on the ceiling. And to me, that's always been really good horror when it's subtle imagery in the background, stuff we think is there. To me, it's always been really creepy and makes the hair stand up on my arm, like stuff like that. Doesn't have to be like this movie had, to my knowledge, like no jump scares. So you could call it not a traditional horror movie, but the imagery is creepy. And I like that it deals with things that we as regular people think about and deal with on a regular basis. Not saying that people got motherfuckers running around their ceiling at night. I'm just saying. So now we got now it's the horror movie. The last 15 minutes is the actual horror movie. You got Annie coming out of the wall, chasing Peter through the house. He goes up in the attic, and then that image of her banging her head on the attic door. That's some creepy shit too. And he goes up in the attic and there's all these candles, and you can see where his grandma's body was. There's a picture of him with the eyes poked out, and he turns around and there's Annie hanging from the ceiling, sawing her own head off. Like, what the fuck is going on? This went from being like a family horror, drama horror, to insanity, just like that. And kudos to Peter, man. Nobody in this movie is stupid. He says, fuck this, jumps out the window of the house. Well, I'd rather risk
He
it.
saw somebody up there, though. your boy Joker was standing up there.
Oh yeah,
in all his
people.
In all his glory.
Yeah.
In all his glory. How can you forget that?
All their glory, like 3 people up there, and then this is the only thing that kind of, I'll take away from this movie. That effect of Annie's headless body kind of floating to the treehouse and up the steps. Like, he probably could have cut that part out. That doesn't fit with the vibe this movie got going for it. But okay, I'll let it go. But Peter gets up and his dad got to climb up them steps. He ain't levitating shit. So he get up there and there's all these people bowing down to the statue, I guess supposed to represent Payman. And oh look, there's your sister Charlie's head stuck on his ass. And I guess this is where Joan comes in. You can see Joan up there. She's not naked, but you got headless grandma, headless mom, a bunch of nobodies, and Joan. And pretty much Peter is crowned, and his body, soul is taken by Payman. And I guess they reincarnated Charlie into Peter, and now Charlie is Payman. A little confusing, but that's how the movie ends. Yeah. For me, again, I chose this movie for all those reasons. I think this stands out as a classic horror movie, but it's got a lot of drama in it. But it's real life horror, and that's what I wanted to get across. Instead of just being the run of the mill type horror with the jump scares and bringing up the bass, and I don't know if you guys can hear it. I watched this with headphones on. The score, there's a constant beat throughout the movie that goes in and out. And I think it has to do with who's possessed, who's not, who's about to be possessed. If you really keep up with it, it's a little hard, but that element of the audio is there. I think that was really, really good. For me, as far as the grading goes, the acting, I thought in this movie was very, very, very well done. The story, the movie was not what I was expecting. Not really, like I said, not really super scary, but that last 15 minutes can get you. It gets your skin crawling. And the imagery with, Charlie getting the head chopped off, I mean, that I don't know if I'll ever let that go. But at the end of the day, I'm giving this movie a solid A. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it to everybody I can. And I really, it's not really a movie I'll watch over and over again. Let me put that out there, because even now, I feel like I need to go watch some cartoons or something. But yeah, that's my grade. I gave it a solid A. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, it's an A for me because, like I said, this is a different type of horror film. Look, I like all types of horror films. I like your slashers. I like all of those. But this one was different, like you said. Jump scares. I don't really call them jump scares. To me, it's not scary when someone startles you or surprises you. I think that's a cheap way to go. This movie built up real tension. It was very moody, and the acting just got you emotionally involved. Typically in horror movies, I'm not emotionally involved. I'm like, okay, you got some teenagers, somebody's gonna stab them, kill them. I don't care. That's what I paid to see. With this one, you're emotionally involved with the characters. You feel their pain. You know, Toni Collette, you talked about the scene where Charlie passed away. And I mean, you could just feel that in that horrible wail of hers. This is horror on a different level. And it's kind of creepy and disturbing. And I like those films better because I like films that make me feel something. Most horror films don't make me really feel anything. I just like seeing people get slaughtered. And I know that sounds ghoulish, but that's what most of us go to these movies for. There's no emotion. You're not really invested in the characters. With this one, it's different. And you know, even though it's a hard one to watch over and over again, it is one of those movies where you can watch it over again, kind of like Get Out, where you can watch it and you can catch things that you didn't catch before. And I think it's one of those movies, as difficult as it is, that you may have to watch a couple of times in order to catch all of the little subtleties of it, which is another reason why I like it so much.
Agreed. Like this time watching for me, I caught a lot that I missed the first time around, especially about the brother and all that. Like it all made sense about the mom. So, all right, Book.
Sorry, a little excited. My team won. The Red Sox won.
Congrats.
Okay. This movie, like I said, heard a lot about it from a lot of people, and this was my first time watching this movie.
Oh boy.
No.
I knew it.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I knew it.
I didn't like it. Sorry.
Oh,
Nope. Here's the problem. The problem with a slow burn movie is it has to be done right for me, or I can get bored. And once I get bored, it's over. I got bored. Midway, I was completely bored. And I'm still watching it, and I'm wanting to get invested. I'm wanting to get interested in this. But I continue to get bored. And the whole character, Joan, you said it, Eric. As soon as she popped up, I knew right away, you're up to no good. You're just up to no good. It's too obvious. What the no good is, obviously, we have no way of knowing what it is. But we know she's up to no good. And she's so forceful. And she just happens to be popping up, randomly popping up at the store thing. I mean, it's like, okay, something is up here. It's too obvious. You're involved in this somehow, some way. And once I got bored, I couldn't care about the characters anymore because I got bored. And I started laughing. I'm laughing at moments in this movie. I was completely uninvested. I totally did not like it. And I didn't expect that. I thought I would like this movie. I would love to say that I like this movie. But for me, the best part of this movie was when it was over. By the end, I didn't care. I mean, when Gabriel Byrne gets cooked alive, it's like, okay, she tried to cook it, tried to burn the book, and get lead on fire. It's too obvious for them to pull that gag a second time, so something else has got to happen. And I'm like, okay, he's got to go. Is he going to get cooked? And he got cooked. So it's like, okay, that was stupid. And I wanted to like this movie so bad, but I'm not giving it an A. It damn sure ain't a B. It ain't a C. It ain't a D. It's a fucking F. I did not like this movie, and I will never watch this movie again. It was boring. I'm sorry. The slow burn, you have to do
surprise
it right.
At all.
It was boring. I did not like it. I did not like this.
I didn't think it was boring. It was a slow burn, but I thought there was enough happening to keep you interested. But one thing I will say is that this movie was not, a lot of people didn't like this movie. I think when a lot of people hear horror movies, and I'm not talking for Book, I'm just talking in general, I think people think differently. this movie was not really well received. The critics loved it, but most audiences really didn't get the movie or just wasn't feeling it.
Well, this is psychological horror.
It kind of has a right. But
Yeah,
some people just it didn't resonate with people. It wasn't a huge hit. It wasn't a huge hit. So I'm not saying, I disagree with Book's review, but he's kind of indicative of how some other people felt about it. Some people, I guess you would say, they just didn't get it. It just wasn't what they were expecting, and they didn't get it.
Yeah, they call it elevated horror, and it's. I could see why audiences would go there. They're looking for one thing, and the trailer. See, the other problem is I didn't watch the trailer, so if the trailer lied, because a lot of them do, then I can understand why you watch the trailer. Oh, this looks scary as hell. Then you go there and you're like, this ain't nothing that the trailer's talking about. So, like,
Yeah.
I went into the movie blind, and I watched it for what it was. Watching it again now, and actually being able to put the pieces together and understand what it is, and it's kind of a little bit. You kind of have to have some kind of knowledge of how demonology works and why it's a big deal for a seance and summoning demons. But realistically, if you even seen Candyman, you can kind of understand what they're doing. It's just a more extensive version. Instead of saying the name 5 times in the mirror, you gotta light candles and get naked.
Yeah. I thought it was refreshing. Like I said, now I'm pumped. Halloween Kills comes out Friday. I'm pumped about it, but I know what I'm going to get with that film. Okay. But we've seen 8 or 9 of these things. I know what I'm going to get. With this, I didn't know, and I found it refreshing.
I can understand you finding it refreshing. Trust me, I wanted to like it. I really did, but I got bored. And
But
that's
I
just
didn't think
the
you
worst.
would.
I got bored. I
Yeah,
wanted
when
to
Eric
like
suggested it, I didn't think you would like it. I didn't think he would like it.
No, it's not good. I did not. I hated it.
I'm not surprised.
I respect that, but I mean, because this is a movie, so movies is a little different than wrestling. But yeah,
It's been a bad weekend movie wise.
It's a different take on horror. So that was my choice. So now I have to ask you, gentlemen, have either of you made a choice for your next movie? Because we have to do Crown Jewel. We still got time for that, so we need one more before Crown Jewel.
I've got 1 or 2 in mind.
Yeah, I got 1 or 2 in mind. I think I know what I'm gonna do, and it's not what I thought I would end up doing. I thought I would do 13 Ghosts, but I think it's gonna be something else now.
I've got a couple. For me, I'm just trying to make sure it's something that's easily accessible for people. I've got one in mind, but I don't know if I'm going to see if it's available on cable. If it's available on cable, that's the one I'll probably choose.
Well, hey, like I told you, I
don't expect either. I don't expect either of you to really like it, but I don't really care. I like it. It's my choice.
It's your choice. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it. That's why we're doing it. Well, hey, what did you all think of Hereditary? Are you in the books corner? You agree with me and Rob that it was different, or maybe it was not for you? I don't know. Let us know in the comment section. Appreciate y'all for listening, watching, or however you chose to take in this content that we putting out for you. We got more stuff on the way. Obviously, Crown Jewel. We are primarily a wrestling podcast. That's YouTube channel. WWE's Crown Jewel. The card looks good, but there's been other cards that look good too, and they ended up being shit. So, hey, but I think the only reason I'll say that this one not only looks the best one they've ever had on paper, you're coming out of, I shouldn't even say coming out of, it's still a pandemic. So they probably want to put on at least a decent show to get the viewership and to continue the contract, because they make they make more with these Saudi shows in a whole year than anything else. So that's why they keep going over there. So that's coming up. That's October 20th, I believe. 21st.
I think it's the 21st.
October
And look,
21st.
just take this or leave it. Quick little tidbit I heard is that WWE is aware that the fans feel like these Saudi shows are just glorified house shows. They say they're aware of that, and they're trying to change that perception so that we maybe could expect some big surprises at this show. Just what I heard. We'll see if it's true.
We will see. We will see. I know
When
Rob
is-
and myself will be covering that.
When
October
is it?
21st.
It's
Thursday.
October 21st. A Thursday.
Ooh,
It's a
thank-
Thursday.
Ooh, that's close. Because 20th is Jeff Dunham. That was close.
Oh,
Well, this will actually be during the day because they're in Saudi at night. So it's during the day for us.
yeah, I'm off that day, and I'm off that day, so I'll be able to watch it live.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'll just have it on at work. I'm able to, make that happen. So that's coming up. And make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share, follow us on social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Third Generation Wrestling Podcast. And also shout out to MJ Book on the Countdown Podcast. Check him out on the same platforms, all the audio ones, Podbean, Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Okay. And I guess one of these gentlemen will give me a horror movie. We'll do it next. And then also, haven't forgotten about the Rocky series. We got the rundown coming up too. So a lot going on here on 3GW. I was kind of out of commission for a little bit. I had a surgical procedure done Friday. So I've been
Hope you're doing good off that.
yeah. Been trying to rest, take it easy. But I needed to come on here tonight and talk about this, and I'm so glad to go back to work tomorrow and get the fuck out of the house.
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Oh, I have that one.
House of 1,000 Corpses. I was gonna do 13 Ghosts, but then I watched this. So
I guess we're all three just gonna hate each other's horror movies because I don't expect you guys to like the one I'm choosing.
All right, well, that one we'll do that one next.
I think
We'll
this
get
is
out there.
starting to get personal. People picking movies that people hate.
No,
Hey.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing
I
it.
know,
on
but that's the
purpose.
way it's coming out.
Yeah,
It's
it's
by
just
accident.
No.
horror movies are difficult because most of them don't really have it. That's at least Hereditary had a plot. Most horror movies don't have a plot. They just have an excuse to kill a bunch of teenagers. That's what most of them are. Not good plots, just
Well.
excuses to kill.
Well, we're going against the grain, I think, with our selections, which is, I
Yeah.
think, what Eric's point was. He was trying to
House
make
of
us go
1,000
against the grain.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
That's why I said, for those listening, I said there can't be no series. That means no Michael Myers, no Jason Voorhees, no Freddy Krueger. You gotta get an original horror movie. And that is an original one, all right. That movie's hilarious. Can't wait to watch.
Yes, yes, it is.
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I like Rob Zombie. I'm a fan of his music. I've seen him in concert. I like
So
Rob.
have I.
The movies. Look, we're going to talk about them. I'm not going to say too much. I'll watch it
Yeah.
again. Maybe I'll feel differently than how I feel now. But we'll talk about it when we review it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could
Yes, sir.
I could
All
have
right.
picked 3 Hell. I could have picked that one, but I just decided
God,
not
that
to.
was
That one
terrible.
sucks. It's the most new.
one
It's the
sucked.
newest one.
Uh,
It sucked. It sucked.
Yeah.
no.
All right.
Devil's Rejects. Now, that's a zombie movie I really like. That's one I really like.
Indeed.
That is a disturbing, demented masterpiece.
Yes, it is, but it got ruined because of the more recent one. That's why I picked House of 1,000 Corpses.
Okay.
The DVP's in the.
Well, one movie can't ruin another. Jaws the Revenge doesn't ruin the original Jaws. One movie can't ruin the other. Not to me.
There was some movies in between.
Well, Rob, take us home.
All right, listeners, we always said we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Let's hear from you. Love one another. And hey, might want to get vaccinated because certain companies are mandating it for their employees. Don't want to lose your job. Just beat them to the punch. I know about your freedoms. You have the right freedom not to get vaccinated, but companies have the freedom to mandate vaccination. So freedom for everybody, freedom for nobody. Get vaccinated.
Real quick, before we go, last thing. Either one of y'all watching the Squid Games?
I've heard a lot about it, but no, I haven't. What is it?
We'll talk about it offline. I just wanted to get a yes or no. But
okay, no,
thank
that's
you
no
all
for me.
for watching, listening, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.